Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker. She's the host, and she is, in fact, your real estate voice. This is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate, and it does it with Barb Schlinker, the owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Not just the name, it's how she does business as well. Barb, when home sellers are planning to put their homes on the market, how does a home seller handle a competitive market if it's the right time to sell for them or not?
Well, Richard, most people don't sell homes or buy homes very often in their lifetime. I think the average time to sell a home might be about 10 years right now. Typically the whole system changes between sales. It's not the same. So if they've never had the experience before, you want to make sure that you get with an agent that knows what's going on, that's actively selling in the market, because the technology constantly changes. The market constantly changes. I mean, last year we peaked out in April, then the Fed started raising interest rates and the prices dropped, and then they're back up again and down again and up again. Now we're trending up. Cool. Okay. But it could be different. And in general, it doesn't matter what the market's doing. What matters is that you hire the agent that knows how to handle it in this current market and position it so that they create the most demand for your home. Buyers eliminate homes based on the online presentation now. In fact, during the boom, a whole bunch of buyers bought homes sight unseen. Would you do that, Richard?
Never, not a chance. Zero, never. Yeah. I would talk with you.
Yeah, well, I mean, some people like they get their cell phone and they do a little FaceTime with their agent. Oh, sure, I'll make an offer on that house. And the next thing they know, they bought a house. And now their agent is very focused on the money and not necessarily, helping this buyer and having them as a client for life, which is unfortunately what happened to one soldier that I recently met with, and we're getting ready to market their home soon. They bought this home sight unseen. They were told it's on acreage. They were told it had a well. When they got there, they found out, oh, it doesn't have a well. You have to have your water delivered to the property. Now, that's not a common or comfortable thing. It does happen on some properties up in the mountains and some out east, but it's not ideal. And they should have known that going in. The other thing is they did an inspection, and you've heard me say before that in the state of Colorado, there is no license to be an inspector. So any Joe Billy Bob can call themselves an inspector. But my experience has been most of them get an online certification, and typically they're in the home inspecting the systems from anywhere from 2 to 4 hours. This inspection took 30 minutes. And guess what? They missed a lot of things like broken plumbing. When they got to their new house and turned on their gas stove, boom, this 5-foot flame came blowing out of the cooktop. I mean, it breaks my heart to see any licensed real estate with even like a sliver of integrity would do that to a buyer, but that's what happened. But as far as pictures are concerned, we know that buyers eliminate homes. I had one buyer tell me they get 5 clicks. If I don't like what I see in 5 clicks, we're moving on. That's why preparation to get your home ready for sale is absolutely critical. It's a competitive market right now. What does that mean? A year ago, any house was selling with a bidding war. Not so much now. You could be pretty and overpriced and it's not selling, or you could be not pretty and overpriced and it's not selling, or you could be pretty but maybe you're underpriced. Those are going to sell. Or the ones that are priced realistically, those are going to sell. Or those that have special benefits like views or back to a park, those are going to have a dog pile of buyers no matter what happens. So it's always important. That's why people focus on location. And just so you know, they recently did a study about how much time a typical buyer spends looking at homes online. It's less than 57 seconds. That's all you have as a home seller to make an impression with that buyer that's just flip, flip, flip on their phone. They spend 20 seconds on the outside. That's why curb appeal is so important. Followed by 8 seconds on the backyard, followed by 8 seconds in the living room, then the kitchen, then the master bathroom, and then the master bedroom. That's why you need somebody that knows how to position the home to get you the most money, put the right pictures so that when they're flipping through those pictures in less than a minute, they're not moving on, they're staying there and going, oh, I want to go see that house. The typical agent spends anywhere from $89 to $129 a month on marketing. That is it. Just so you know, taking professional photos costs a little bit more than that. And I don't think agents are buying business cards anymore, Richard. This is so frustrating for me. They schedule a showing, they show up for the showing, right? They're in somebody's house, but they don't leave a business card. So the seller doesn't even know if they were there. Wouldn't that drive you nuts?
That would really, really annoy me. That's just not professional.
Yeah, well, business cards cost about $59. But anyway, you want to hire somebody that knows how to promote, how to take professional photos. Because here's the thing, a home seller and we have no idea who is eliminating those homes based on the photos or the online presentation. And unfortunately, most of these buyers are searching on the tech company websites that are just extracting data, they're extracting data from the multiple listing service and putting it out there on Zillow or Realtor.com the way they like it. Well, that's the way a lot of buyers like it. Now, what those tech companies do is they sell buyer leads to dumb real estate agents that buy them, right? And so a buyer says, hey, I'm interested in that home. Is it available? And the agent goes, let me check. They look it up. Oh, yeah. You want to go see it? So the big surprise when I talk to home sellers about this is the very first time the agent has met the buyer is at the house showing your home. That agent doesn't know if that buyer can buy a couch on Craigslist, let alone your house, nor do they know what the buyer is looking for. We call those Pop-Tart agents. An agent gets a request, they show up at the house, they pop out of the toaster, show up at the house, and hope and pray the buyer can buy and wants to buy that home. And so we tested the Pop-Tart philosophy for about a year. We tracked every Pop-Tart showing request. We went on those showing requests. We didn't sell a single one of them a house.
Wow.
Why is that? Why do you think that is, Richard?
Well, there's got to be a relationship. People have to trust, and I mean, agents have got to know what the person is looking for, and the seller's got to feel comfortable with the whole thing.
Right. If they don't know what they're looking for, or if they don't know if the buyer can afford it, because most buyers really have no idea how it works. I've had them say that to me. They think when they go up on Zillow, they're getting the listing agent. But Zillow has told me directly, even if I pay them money to market my listings on Zillow, they will not send me buyer leads for my own listings. They will not do that because they make more money selling these leads to a half dozen other agents that pay them thousands of dollars to get a few leads out of that zip code and show up. It has gotten so crazy. There is a real estate company that everybody knows the name of out here that has what they call showing agents. So what that is a licensed real estate agent that their sole purpose is to open a door, and that company pays them to open a door. And by the way, those door openers, if the buyer happens to want the house, do not write contracts. They know nothing. They just show up and look stupid, open the door, let the buyer look at it and leave, and they get a paycheck. And if the buyer wants it, they have to send it off to a real salesperson. I mean, it drives me crazy. I guess do I sound too cynical, Richard?
Well, I'm sorry, but if a person was good at what they do, like you are, you would never try to make a living by just going over and opening a door for somebody else.
No. And that's part of why we've kind of changed our marketing strategy to make sure that we're kind of eliminating those tire kickers, those door openers, with a marketing technique that we use to get all the buyers in there at the same time and let them fight over the house. And that way the seller gets the most money and gets rid of all the tire kickers all at once. Staging is really important because we know buyers eliminate homes based on the online presentation. So it's really, really important to get that right. Most home sellers actually make the most money when they stage. So I'm showing you some examples of not so good staging. And every time I ask somebody, have you ever seen any bad pictures of homes online? They always say yes, and a lot of them. And the problem is if buyers see photos like this, they're not going to ask to go see that home. You know, back when I started in the business, what happened was that most buyers would physically go in and look at 20 to 40 homes. But now, because the imagery is such high quality, they're eliminating most of them based on the online presentation. So if you're hiring a real estate agent, I don't care if they're a discount agent or not, if they fail to put professional photos of your home online, it is malpractice and you should fire them. That's what I think. So we do all kinds of things to make homes look a wow, because we don't want to get eliminated based on the online presentation. You want to avoid that at all costs. So if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice. It's the show with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. She is the host, and you can reach her at 719-301-3900. We're talking, Barb, about selling a home in a competitive market. So tell us more about how our listeners should attract the very best buyers.
Well, first of all, it starts with the online presentation, and we know how to get that right, but not every agent does. And then you want to make sure they go further than just pictures, like videos and even floor plans. That kind of stuff is absolutely critical, because we know these buyers are eliminating homes. So you don't want to repel the buyers either with bad photos. All these things are really, really important. The next most important thing that we're going to go into deeply on the next topic is pricing it realistically. That is a way to create a lot of demand. It doesn't matter where you price your home. You don't have to accept any offer. The whole idea is to get all the buyers to want to make their best offer. And that's the way home sellers actually make the most money. And that's what we do. We help our clients price the home, what we call realistically versus optimistically. But as far as the marketing stuff, we're going to get that right. And then once we get them in the door, another issue that we have is making sure that if the buyer likes it, that they are motivated to want to make an offer. Now, if you price it really, really right, there's no stopping the buyers. They're going to want to make an offer. However, some real estate agents are in what I call the sales prevention business, or I call them onboard sales terrorists, because they'll go into the house and they'll say stuff like, well, it's not worth that much. Or I just had a member I met with this last week. He was a military guy that said, you know, when I bought my house here a few years ago, my agent told me that you help sellers get the most money for their house. He goes, I took a record of your name. He doesn't listen to the radio. He goes, I wrote down your name at that time. So it was kind of cool to talk to him about that. But basically, a lot of them will go in and they'll try to pick apart the house and say, oh, it won't go VA because it has peeling paint, or, oh, it's priced too high. And they'll convince the buyer not to make an offer. Now, I could understand if it really had a true problem, but some of this is just ignorance. Like I had this one house one time that had the faux painting with a big long crack across the room. And it looked beautiful. It was kind of Tuscan style. But one of the feedbacks from the agent was that there were structural cracks and the buyers all worried about the house. So we had to Photoshop the picture, and then we had to put a special feature card up to say, this is just paint. It doesn't have any cracks. I mean, they're crazy. I don't know why they don't try to encourage the buyer. That was a $1.2 million listing, by the way. Why they don't encourage the buyer to go back to the office and explore it more and maybe make an offer. That's what they should be doing, but that's not what they do. They try to convince the buyer and pick it apart. And then they call me and say, hey, Barb, will your seller take less money? Well, of course, I'm not going to answer that question because I'm trying to get the most money for the seller. I can't do that. Why would you ask me that? Well, it needs this and it needs that. But they love the house and they've already got their house under contract. So I asked this one agent, well, why don't you have your buyer make an offer? And her answer was, oh, I hadn't thought of that. And I'm like, that's your job.
It is their job. And if there's one thing I learned in 7.5 years of being a trial attorney, they don't teach you negotiation in law school. You have to learn this as you go through. One of the guaranteed rules is don't ever bid against yourself. Don't let somebody say, well, we can't take that. Give me another offer. You just don't do it. It doesn't work. That's not how you do it.
Anyway, that's my world. It's kind of fun. If you are thinking of making a move, give me a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com.
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice. That's Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And she is your voice, and that is the guarantee. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to be talking about how to get the most money when you sell your home, plus hot new listings. Stay tuned for that.